What to grow in April. If you want a thriving garden this year, here are my must-grow plants for spring. Just 5 brilliant things to sow this month or to get growing, whether you're a beginner gardener or an experienced grower looking for inspiration. The best vegetables for grow your own food, plants that are going to give you flowers for colour, scent and pollinators, and most of all, fill your garden all year round. Hey everyone, how's it going and welcome back. I always get asked for my plant recommendations, no more so than now when spring is really getting going. So from spring vegetables to hardy flowers, I'm going to share with you the top crops to start now and great plants to treat yourself to. Don't miss out. Get sowing now, get planting and set up your garden for success. All right, let's get started. Right, first up, I want to talk about American land cress. It is one of the most useful and underrated little leafy greens that you can grow. It looks, unsurprisingly, a little bit like watercress, with small glossy green leaves on short stems. But it doesn't need running water or a special setup to thrive. This is a soil-grown cress, easy to care for, and it works brilliantly in beds, containers, even window boxes. It's perfect. The leaves have that lovely fresh peppery flavour, similar to watercress, but actually with a little bit more punch. So they're great in salads, sandwiches, added to soups, sprinkled on top of pizzas to give that big hit of flavour. What's great about it is that it's cut and come again. So that means that you can keep harvesting the outer leaves while the plant keeps growing. You can sow it pretty much any time. I like to sow it now in spring. Spring and late summer are ideal for outdoor sowing. But at the same time, autumn sowings can grow on through the winter in a cold frame or under cover. It germinates really quickly, it grows fast, and it also copes with poor weather and cooler temperatures, so it's a great way to keep fresh greens coming when other things may not be performing for you. It's a hardy little plant, it's tolerant of shade and bad weather, and it's rarely troubled by pests, if any at all. If left to flower, it'll also attract bees and other beneficial insects in early spring, and it'll self-seed. Nothing too bad, but that'll give you some bonus plants if you want them the following year. So if you're after a reliable, flavourful and easy to grow green, American land cress is so well worth a spot in your garden or allotment. Tough, tasty and ready to eat when you need it. Don't worry about writing down all of the names of the plants that I'm talking about while you're watching. Unless you want to, of course. Instead, you'll find all of my seed lists and planting lists over at my website, nilegardens.com, or follow the link in the description down below. I have so been looking forward to suggesting this plant to you for ages. Next up, it's dahlias. They're a dazzling addition to your garden. And with these plants, it's all about the flowers. Flowering from midsummer right the way through to the first frosts, they offer that huge, truly huge range of colours, shapes and sizes, from bold dinner plate blooms to perfectly shaped little pom-poms, spiky cactus types, to just good old-fashioned, simple, open-centred varieties. Believe me, there is a dahlia for every single style of garden and gardener. Now, what makes dahlias so special is their versatility. They work beautifully in borders, cutting gardens and containers, and they're perfect for flower arranging because many varieties have long, sturdy stems and good vase life. They're also excellent value in terms of the space that they take up, producing bloom after bloom for months and months. Dahlias are usually grown from tubers, planted in the spring, just like this, after the risk of frost has passed, though you can also start them now from seed or buy them as young plants. While they appreciate a nice rich soil, good sunshine and regular deadheading, they're not actually fussy plants at all. Taller types might need a little bit of staking, but when you think about it, that's a small price to pay for that really big impact. They're not frost hardy, so if you want to start them now, I would recommend planting these tubers in pots and keeping those pots somewhere protected like a greenhouse or on a windowsill. leave some varieties to go to seed, or allow pollinator-friendly types to bloom freely, and they'll become absolute magnets for bees and other beneficial insects. Then, come autumn, you can either lift the tubers and store them, or mulch them really well and leave them in the ground if you've got a milder climate. With their incredible colour range and just, well, I suppose, constant performance, dahlias are one of the most rewarding flowers that you can grow. And once you start, it's fairly hard to stop. Speaking of dahlias, I'm teaming up again this month with J. Parker's, who have another great discount code just for you, because they don't actually just sell spring bulbs, they also sell a fantastic range of summer flowering plants like dahlias, lilies and more. The beauty of dahlia tubers is that you don't need to sow seeds, then prick seedlings out and then pot seedlings on and keep potting them on. They're not delicate and they're not difficult. All you need to do is get them started, wait for them to start growing, get them planted out, and then enjoy loads of glorious summer colour. They're a great buy for right now, but what's so important is that quality matters. The better quality the dahlia tuber is, the better that it's going to perform for you. With J. Parker's, you know that you're always going to receive top quality, good sized tubers that are ready to go so that you can enjoy success this summer. As you can see, I've already got mine started, and look, they're already starting to sprout. So excited. And with spring marching on, you don't want anything holding you back. J. Parker's delivery truly is really fast. So once you've placed your order, you know that you're not going to be waiting ages to get your hands on the plants that you want to grow. Now, I promised you a big discount code, so here it is. Use the code NILE15 to get 15% off your order. Whether it's bulbs, tubers or plants, I'm always so impressed with the quality of what I receive from J. Parker's. I order from them and have never been let down. And it's not just me, their Google reviews say exactly the same thing, so you can check them out if you want. So head across to jparkers.com to get started. Think you know chives? Think again, because I want to recommend growing garlic chives. They're a fantastic dual-purpose plant, both ornamental and incredibly useful in the kitchen, and that's why I think you need to have them in your life. Rather than the usual round leaves of regular chives, garlic chives have flat leaves with a mild garlic flavour that just adds that really nice subtle punch to your cooking. Now, unlike regular chives that are just onion, I find that that extra little bit of garlickiness makes them more interesting. They're really easy to grow from seed and they germinate reliably, either indoors in cells like this or direct sown in spring once the soil warms up. I love them so much that I'm adding more and more to the garden. Once established, garlic chives form really nice little clumps that come back year after year. They're drought tolerant, low maintenance, and they thrive in both full sun and light shade, so pretty much anywhere in your garden. They're suitable for borders, herb gardens and containers, and they offer really good long-lasting value and beauty. And that's why for me, there's a particularly magic element to these. We're so used to buying, well, often expensive alliums. Well, from late summer into early autumn, garlic chives send up lovely tall stems that are topped with, I suppose, like little white starry flowers. Here in my garden, these blooms are absolutely loved by pollinators, especially bees. Letting them flower just adds to that ornamental appeal that I love of having a dual purpose plant. You can collect the seeds, sow them yourself, or just allow them to self-seed. They're tough, reliable, and truly incredibly versatile. So they're a great edible that you can just tuck into borders or herb beds. They provide a really nice constant supply of flavour in the kitchen when they're growing. They support pollinators and they look fantastic doing it. Each month, I like to recommend one investment piece of a plant, something that is going to cost you a little bit more to buy, but I really think is going to give you years of interest. And this month, it's this, a contorted hazel, or Corylus avellana contorta. It's a truly unique shrub that brings beauty and structure to your garden all year round. What sets it apart are these incredibly twisted branches which curl and coil into eye-catching spirals and loops. In summer, it's clothed in green, slightly crinkled leaves. So if I'm honest, it looks a little plain. But in winter, when the leaves fall, these contorted silhouettes, well, they just they're revealed and they make this such a stunning shrub for seasonal interest. In late winter to early spring, before the leaves return, the bare branches are adorned with these pale yellow little catkins that are just starting to pass. You can see that they're just finishing. These elegant tassels sway gently in the breeze and they provide a lovely, subtle but pleasant display. Early pollinators benefit too, as the catkins offer really some of the first pollen sources of the year. The contorted hazel is a tough and adaptable shrub. It grows well in full sun or light shade like it has here. It handles most soil types as long as it's not sitting waterlogged, and it's generally low maintenance. It can reach anything up to about 3 to 4 metres if it's just left unchecked, but it responds well to pruning. As you can see, you can keep it in shape to contain it. This plant is often grown as a specimen, like in a lawn or in a place like this where you can really appreciate it. So you can see its twisty shape and you can admire it. It's especially popular for winter gardens and for use in floral arrangements, where you can cut bits of the bare branches and use them decoratively in the house. For year-round interest, low effort and sculptural beauty, contorted hazel is a standout. You know that I like suggesting plants that you might not think of, and it means that you can grow something new. Well, let me introduce you to Digitalis ferruginea. It's so worth trying. It's known as the rusty foxglove, and it's a tall, statuesque perennial with lovely, elegant, I suppose, natural flowers. It produces these spires of little bell-shaped flowers, but they're in warm shades of like copper, amber and gold, and those spires are slimmer and more sparse than what we would know from regular foxgloves. They bloom in mid to late summer, and those towering flower spikes they look more simple than regular foxgloves, and I like that. They have these narrow strap-like leaves that blend really nicely with grasses or plants like echinacea in prairie planting schemes. This foxglove is excellent for anybody that wants to try something a little bit different from that classic pink, white, purple variety. It's got earthy tones and it's more muted, subtle, and kind of perfect for a wildlife or naturalistic garden scheme. And like all foxgloves, Digitalis ferruginea is a brilliant source of nectar for pollinators, especially bumblebees. And best of all, whereas regular foxgloves are biennial, this is more perennial, so it's going to give you a long-lasting, ongoing display year after year. Digitalis ferruginea is a striking yet understated little plant. Well, actually, it's a big plant that brings vertical interest and stuff for pollinators. Makes your garden a little bit wild and wonderful. So, for a foxglove with a difference, this is a real gem. Now, before you go, there are some common mistakes that could actually be undercutting all of the hard work that you're doing in your garden, and these slip-ups catch out even experienced gardeners, so do not let them set you back. Click on this video right here and I'll walk you through some of what I think are the biggest gardening mistakes that you need to think about, and most importantly, how to avoid them. And until next time, see you later.